So, what are their kinds and uh, part played by women, love and marriage as a motive, mirth and laughter, stress on character, realism and fantasy, songs and about clown and plot construction. So these are the sub heading which I will be discussing. So the purely romantic comedies of Shakespeare are continuation of the pre-Shakespearean tradition. So before Shakespeare, there also a tradition of writing comedies, and all the British writer have copied or imitated or being inspired by the Greek writer. So character and plots are a mingling of realism and fantasy. Shakespeare, fancy, half emotional and half intellectual, sheds his own light on character and scene, making romantic the ordinary thing of life and making realistic the more imaginative and improbable character and events. The setting and incidents in The Two Gentlemen of Verona, A Midsummer Night Dreams, As You Like It, and The Twelfth Night are all imaginary and yet not quite different from the life. The character we meet in Shakespeare, Italy, Athens, or Illyria would all the quite at home in his England. So all the character which we see in his plays belonging to different region of the world, like Italy, Greeks, Athens, or any other place, seems to be the character which are living in the England as well. Those are serious comedies like Much Ado, All Wells That Ends Well, Merchant of Venice, and Measure for Measure are half tragic and half playful. So means they are tragicomedies. There are happenings in them that would more suitably adorn the bursting stage. They may be considered leading the way towards a fuller romantic tragicomedy of later years. Although they are all nearer in form to As You Like It than to The Winter's Tale. In the category of realistic comedy, more closely associated with the name of Ben Jonson, uh, The Taming of the Shrew and The Merry Wife of Windsor, which contain, I'm quoting the lines, deeds and language such as men do use, and persons such as comedy would choose. They have many more local touches than the comedies of Shakespeare. The scenes and character are more closely related to life and the action, and dialogues are less colored by romantic sentiments. The pleasant, courtly humor of the earlier play is largely replaced by farce and knock about fun. The two plays, the comedy of errors, represent nearest approach in Shakespeare. So, to the classical comedy of Plautus and Terence. So, even Shakespeare were inspired by Greek writer, and his comedy of error is somewhat similar or in inspiration. Like he has drawn inspiration from the comedies of Plautus and Terence. So, whatever group they belong, but Shakespeare comedies have certain characteristic in common, and most important thing is that in Shakespearean comedies, women character are more dominant, and males are given lesser role than the women. So, when it comes to the part played by women, the feminine role in Shakespeare are as important as the masculine. But though he has given more important role to the heroine, in fact, the heroine is often superior to the hero, as in As You Like It. In Twelfth Night and several other comedy, this does not happen in a tragedy, which is essentially a play with a single hero. So, in his plays, males are given more dominant role, and female the lesser role. And then the motive of all these plays were are love and marriage. So, love leading to marriage is the theme of Shakespearean comedy. Often more than one pair is ultimately joined in wedlock, which means marriage, each having worked out its destiny in a plot of its own. One pair, however, is always superior to the other, and it's with them that the play is primarily concerned. Then mirth and laughter. The prevailing note is that of jest and youthful jollity. Through sometimes the story takes a more serious turn. In Shakespeare, tragedies and comedies, comedies also sometimes there are serious note, but there are laughter very often. So the lover must suffer for the course of true love. Otherwise, he would not be called as lover. Never did run smooth. If runs love story is running smoothly, then there will be no adventure and no audience and reader will not take any interest. Uh, but all well that ends well, and the end is invariably happy. Sometimes the borderline between tragedy and comedy is very thin indeed, as in The Merchant of Venice or in Much Ado About Nothing, with its painful scene in the church. The earlier comedies, however, are in Dowden words, as he said, joyful, refined, and romantic. This he has written in his book Shakespeare, His Mind and Art. So there is a book by Dowden, Shakespeare, His Mind and Art, which is a very good book. And if you want to read about Shakespeare in a thoroughly, or you want to research on Shakespeare, then you should read this book. Then the next topic is uh, stress on character. The plot in Shakespeare comedies are subordinate to character. Character are given more importance than the plot. The tale may be interesting, but the chief pleasure is derived from certain of its figure. The part in both scene of the word is often greater than the whole. Rosalind and Celia are more interesting than the slight story of As You Like It. Portia is more impressive than the forced situation in The Merchant of Venice. So then there are realism and fantasy also. As we already discussed, Shakespearean comedy a blend of observation and imagination, fact and fiction. Scenes, character, and plot have between the real and the unreal. The English countryside is transformed into the forest of Arden. English courtiers into the Duke and his co-mates in exile. English artisan into Bottom, the Athens weaver and his follower. The basics of these comedy is real, the superstructure ideal. So now coming to the songs in these Shakespearean comedies. Music and essential features of the world of Shakespearean comedy, as it was earlier in the work of Lyly. It is of various kind. There is the court music of Duke Orsino, the food of love, the traditional music of clown played on pipe and tabor, popular snatches and songs like that of those of Sir Toby and Sir Andrew in Twelfth Night, of Amiens in As You Like It, of Balthazar in Much Ado, and so on. The Tower catches of Sir John's Falstaff and his tipsy companions, the ballad of Autolycus, all the types of music that delighted the Elizabethan age, and still they are delighting the audience continuously in the present age also. It is introduced with discretion and sometimes act as a kind of commentary on the situation, heightening its effect. See, songs are played to make the scene lighter and play interesting. So then coming to the clown is also one of the important aspect in Shakespeare comedies. Several of Shakespeare comedies introduce a fowl or clown who is often a great asset to the play. He is drawn partly from life and partly from literature. He is a direct development of the vice of the moralities, and he is also a theatrical version of the professional court fool or jester. It is said of Queen Elizabeth Clown, the famous tarleton, uh, that he told her more of her fault than most of her chaplains and cured her melancholy better than all of her physicians. So they have a very important part to play in the dramas. A similar function is assigned to the fool in Shakespeare play, for he figure both in comedy and tragedy also. He provokes laughter by his wit, as Turnstone does in As You Like It, the character Turnstone, and he sings sad or sprightly song as Feste does in Twelfth Night. He is distinguished by his motley costume, but wear not motley in his green. Indeed, he sometimes show more learning and good sense than some of the leading characters, but he bears no integral relation to the main plot unless it is that he and his sweetheart are sometime among the several couple married at the close of the play. So mostly in the Shakespeare play, there is a wedding at the end of the play in the comedies, and wedding is not only of the main character but sometime of the minor character also. So now let us discuss the plot construction. Shakespeare's comic plot have the usual three phases of exposition, tangle, and resolution. The first act is taken up by the exposition. It introduces the various characters at the same time, throwing light on the circumstances in which the action is to take place. The next three acts develop a tangle, a complication which seems difficult to resolve. The Duke in Twelfth Night loves Olivia. Olivia loves Viola, who is in male disguise. Viola loves the Duke. So this is a kind of the scenario. The fifth act affects a resolution, a denouncement. Denouncement means literally disentangling, satisfactory to all parties. The division of the act into exposition, tangle, and resolution is not, however, always so clear cut as this. Each phase may take up less space or more. So, this was all about Shakespearean comedy. Tomorrow, I will be discussing Shakespearean tragedy. So, there is Sharf Mohammadi, 61, who's just writing the message, hi, 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 how are you, how are you? If you're a student of English literature, you want to ask any question, then you can ask me. And there is a profile by drawing, sketching, coloring. Please write your message as per comment as per the community guidelines of YouTube, because if if there is something which I don't like, I will definitely complain, and I will complain not only to YouTube but also to Cyber Cell. This drawing, sketching, coloring. So I'm taking a photo of this profile, and I'll see if I'll try to complain. So thank you everyone. I hope this topic is clear to you all. Thank you.